Hi, folks. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Brand Life Coaches. Sorry, I'm running late tonight on Mark time again tonight, it seems. But got a show for you tonight. I am coming at you from South Carolina, from my little home office there. And welcome, everybody. Um, I'm trying to get used to. Hi, Soren and Dan. I'm trying to get used to the shift from hi Kelly, from hey Deb, Kate Nadine, um, Ellie, from being in Indianapolis at our new place to being here. It's just really strange. Um, I came back in time to watch the big football game last night, and I promptly fell asleep on the couch. There's Jackie, and missed the whole game, and woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Uh, no, Kelly said she thought we wouldn't make it. I'm always gonna make it. Um, we just won't ever just not show up. If if we aren't going to meet, we'll let you know. But hey, Lizard, you came on toward the end of the show, but you said you hadn't been able to make a lot of shows. But welcome. So no, we'll always show up. Always show up. So so yeah, I'm a little fuzzy brained. Um, I slept till about 11 o'clock and went down to the beach. Curtis King, hello, and ate a bunch of seafood and walked on the beach. Uh, you know what? I'm going to be getting. I think I have Twitter, but I don't use it. But I'm going to be using it more often. So you're saying I could update? Hey, I'll be with you guys in 10 minutes. Is that what you mean? That would be cool. Oh, Marky Mark died. Sorry, Jackie. That's terrible. Well, sweetie pie cat. Sorry to hear that, Jackie. Jill says hello. First time I'm watching live. Well, welcome, Jill. Um, we're just doing a little grieving uh, over Jackie's kitty cat. Agnes, you never understand football. Oh, it was a hell of a game last night that I missed. Hell of a game. I'm so bummed I missed it. Well, Jackie, your thoughts, our thoughts are with you, and our prayers are with you, and our love is with you. Um, it's horrible to, lose a pet. That's a terrible thing. Terrible thing. So, what's weird about being here in South Carolina is I don't have Mr. Pauly, and I don't have Renda, and I don't have our cats, uh, and I don't have Zara. And man, it's quiet here, really quiet. So uh, Jackie says he was four, and we still have the three brothers: Ginger Boy, Leo, and Little Munchkin. So, well, I don't have a whole bunch to share. I've got three comments that I was going to start with, and then uh, So Kelly says, I want to say thanks for your advice here. I'm becoming more aware when somebody's playing games, and I can see the manipulation when it happens, so I can choose how to react or how not. Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Did Sarah come on and I missed her? Let me back up here. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah is here. So let me read a couple of comments and respond, and you guys can hold on to your questions for now, and then I'll tackle questions at the end. So this is from Cynthia, a lady named Cynthia, and she said, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was serendipitous that I found your video today because I'm bursting at the seams." Have any of you ever felt like you were bursting at the seams? That hurts. I'm tired of reading how I must squash my feelings to exact any justice, and never attempt to bruise my ex for the heinous shit he perpetrated upon me. Experts caution it will have no effect on those with narcissistic personality disorder. Yes, I know that, but it will have a huge impact on my efforts to recover from this year-long nightmare. I'm not in the habit of letting people crap all over me and doing nothing. I'm 63 years old and have never allowed anyone to victimize me. Now I'm supposed to sit back like a little bitch? Sorry, I'm steaming, she writes, and let this sick SOB walk away without any consequences? If that's not what it means to recover, if that's what it means to recover, I never will. Problem is, I have no clue what to do. I just know I have to do something. Any suggestions? So, I think this was in conjunction to my video, 15 Ways I Defeated My Narcissist, which is a video that talks about certainly not revenge, but it talks about being powerful and having impact. 50 Ways to Lose Your Lover. So that, man, there's a fine line. I reviewed that video because I didn't want it to sound like revenge, because revenge is a sort of a victim-y concept. But as I reflected upon what had happened in my relationship, I did realize that y'all are going, who is that song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover? I'm spacing on that guy. But so Cynthia, my best feedback at this point, it sounds like things are over. My best feedback would be to let go. Paul Simon. Yeah, love Paul Simon. My mama loved me like a rock. She loved me. My mother did love me like a rock. That's the problem. Oh, okay. So, hey, Andy's here. Is Andy here? Hey, Andy. The best revenge is a well-lived life. And what I've tried to do in my recovery process is to just be happy and be healthy and uh, 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 constantly work on my integrity and set boundaries and not worry about what any former narcissists think about me. So um, uh, I, I'm glad that video empowers people, but it's sort of looking back after the fact that you may have been more powerful, and people like it. I think I said something to the effect of my narcissist left with a bruise, and it just dawned on me that that was the case. It wasn't that I was trying to bruise them. So revenge, not so good. Um, uh, Learning that we have not been victimized by the narcissist. We recruited the narcissist. It's part of our healing process. And so um, uh, it's something that we can get blessed from and get growth from. And it's not something that they have power over us. So, so Cynthia, watch more of my videos where it talks about you're not a victim. But I understand when you've had so much emotional violence. How do I say it? That you're not victimized, but you have been horrifically traumatized. And when you're terrifically traumatized, God, it's just so painful and just so many levels. So everybody's sort of chatting back and forth. Um, all right, I'm going to go on to the next little comment here and comment on it. But y'all just keep chatting amongst each other. Uh, uh, Jackie asked how my daughter is. Uh, she's doing better, actually. Um, I called her from the beach and we talked for a long time, and she seemed about as good as she's been. So it turns out we were having a hard time getting a good relationship with one of the psychiatrists, and one of them was somebody who ran cross country with my son, and he's taken a special interest in Taylor and got her to take lithium, and so maybe things are turning around. But she sounded very good and very coherent, so we'll see what happens with it. So this is from Love Art Therapy Always, and they write, I realize that being nice is making me a target for abuse. Last a few workplaces I have encountered tremendous abuse, and now I'm very angry and I can't take it anymore. I just got a new job 6 weeks ago, and I've been putting up with lots of crap. And today I blew up, and I am now applying for a new job. Are there any employers out there who are decent and kind and appreciative? And I'm so fed up. Well, I guess my same message would be what I said to the first person is thanks, people, about encouraging me about my daughter. But there are horrible places to work, But Jill says, learn to set boundaries in every job. It's like uh, having the ability to assert yourself and recognize dangerous people and set healthy boundaries will keep you from having to blow up. When you blow up, who's the crazy one? You know, it's like you end up looking like the crazy one. So, Kelly, what did you say here? I have to say that being nice makes me a target. Boy, does that hit home. I want to be nice, but not a pushover. And I'm trying, but I fear people look at me like I've grown two heads. Yeah, so that's the challenge is to be nice, but not too nice. But you don't have to be a jerk. Theoretically, you can be. I'm trying to. Okay, now I'm having issues here. Sorry. Hey, Diana, how are you? Okay, here we go. Andy said, I was narcissistically abused at my first job. It drove me insane, and I feel sorry for this person. Um, I hear that. There are uh, horrific places to work. But what I was picking up on here is it sounds like this is a pattern that wherever they go, they get chewed up and spit out and abused and used. Is U.S. male here? There he is. He likes me when I recognize him, so I'm recognizing U.S. male as I always do. Um, so, um, hello, good people, says Star Child. So that would be my feedback is work on your recovery from codependency, um, uh, and learn how to set boundaries and have fire in your belly and be somebody nobody really wants to fuck with, but don't get reactive. Don't get reactive, and that it's going to take a lot of work to be able to pull that off. Lizard says that she had to look at why she was always feeling this way at work. Most of the time, it was about my own issue. That's what I'm saying. Ellie says, I'm still a doormat at times, though, due to the to clusterfuck of narcs here. Okay, what did you mean by that? I'm still a doormat at times, though to clusterfucks of narcs here. Is that's you're saying that's made you healthier to go through that? Okay, Kate Nadine says, be nice and love yourself enough to keep boundaries and don't get hurt or upset when they mistreat or gossip. Okay. Uh, just think if we had not worked for our lovely employer, we would not be friends. Kelly, you and Jackie work for the same company? I didn't know that. That's cool. Jill said, I've learned to be nice and firm and to not be a people pleaser. Diana, sometimes I try hard to not be reactive, and when I stay strong, my husband acts up all the time, especially during the holidays. So when you stay strong, your husband acts up all the time, especially during the holidays. Hmm. Jackie says she's just being silly. I'm a nice person and I will always be nice. Jay Bassett, Mark, my husband and I have been married 10 years and we're going to separate because he's disrespected me for years and I'm tired. Oh, darn. My cursor thing is in the way and I can't read that. Let me get back to that. I'm tired of being, feel like I'm not worth anything. So I guess the message here that we have is that the thing you need to ask yourself is, why did you marry your husband, and why have you stayed with him for 10 years, and why have you allowed him to disrespect you for 10 years, and why do you feel like you're not worth anything? And you go back into your family of origin stuff and you'll find the answers to those things. Uh, our our harmful significant others aren't really the problem, they're the cure. Uh, Jackie says, I have a question. Can the narcissist play games like stonewalling? But of course, narcissists are quite skilled game players. Diana said he put vacuum soot in the air conditioning and it was blowing through the house and burned our throats. All while my grandson was in the ICU for pneumonia. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. That's horrible. So Jay Bassett says, thank you. I hope that made sense. But again, watch some of the videos about there are no victims in even in narcissistic abuse recovery. I got to tell you, um, uh, I've been through so much pain, but actually, I have gratitude for this woman I was with for 6.5 years because I finally learned the truth about myself, and it cut me open. Uh, Leslie says that's a cure I could have done without. Um, uh, I hear you. It's what's worse, the cure or the disease. Um, it's a wicked system that we attract people who are skillful at harming us, that we need to reenact our family of origin stuff. Jackie has another question. Do narcissists like to spill your secrets just to see you squirm? Of course they do. And uh, what happens is if you don't squirm, then it's no fun. So uh, it's if you're secure in who you are, and narcissists are, having major smear campaigns and saying horrible things, who cares? It doesn't bother me. Um, uh, it's like if you have a strong sense of self, it's all about knowing who you are and staying true to who you are, and You know, you can have a whole army of narcissists saying horrible things and you sleep like a baby, and it doesn't really matter. Okay. Jackie says, I just love the sick grin that comes over their face, and I'd like to slap it off. Jay Bassett says, I have no one to talk to, and hearing your words comforts. Well, I'm glad you feel comforted. And that's one of the wonderful things about this community is that we can talk to each other and be in community. And I love it that you all come back every week and we keep on sharing. And I get a lot out of it. Just hearing you guys share back and forth and encourage each other. And okay, so I have one more, and then y'all can bust open some questions. Well, hold it. Kelly has a question. Can I ask, if you go no contact with a narcissist, how do you handle it when you've heard that they are spreading lies about you? Just ignore it. It don't make us no never mind. Just ignore. Ignore. Who cares if Sarah says yes sirree, Bob. I like that. Okay. So this is from, I can't say her first name, but it says walk before you run. And so let me read it. Thank you. This was the one she had watched a video about my mother being a borderline. I sound much like you describe your own mother. I'm 62 now, and I am bipolar type 1 borderline. It's a long road to recovery after the damage is done. The real healing begins when we stop blaming the mum, who, much like your own, began by being abandoned. And so it goes on until moments happen that force us to listen and empathize with another's heart pain. Of recent late, I have had 3 dreams that I was dropping dead in my kitchen and trying to reach out to my son, who could not see me on each occasion due to the shadow which I stood in. All I wanted to say is that I loved him as best that I could. It's funny that you wrote that, because that was in the poem. In the second part of that video was about my mother loved us as best she could. So that's interesting. But my own severely lacking in communication, along with my dying, prevented it from happening. Breaking through the pain barrier is like the dough I was trying to raise on the trays, and I needed to ignite the electric oven. Due to the stress of being gas lit to the greatest intensity, I burst out crying like a baby at the digital combinations that I could not fathom, which triggered the bullying from my own childhood in both school and home. The narcissistic math teacher who stalked, intimidated, and preyed and humiliated me to dyslexia, speech, and learning disability. Man, that sounds pretty horrible. Combined with pressures at home, which included being lifted up in the bucket of a bulldozer due to my objecting to a car park being built in place of a wild garden. I had protested only to be swung around and round at the height to the hysterical laughter of the handler. Events set off a pattern in life to make me empathize with the sinking bread dough whose needs were not addressed in time just as much as the British protester who was run over by the bulldozer. So, so often I think we who have been through narcissistic abuse and we have complex PTSD, sometimes we're given the diagnosis of borderline, and boy, they can look the same. They can look the same, but they really are vastly different. So, okay, so I've read everything I have to read, and does anybody have questions or comments or Soren says, Mark, once we find our purpose, how do we muster the courage to follow it? I'm having a lot of negative feedback in my head. My mother is so loud, even when she's not here in the room with me. Man, that's a killer question. How do we find our purpose? Or once we find our purpose, how do we muster the courage to follow it? I'm having a lot of negative feedback in my head. My mother is so loud, and even when she's not there in the room. Well, that's the work, Soren, is to develop our sense of selves to the point where it's bigger than our brainwashing, and it's your own healthy sense of self is bigger than the abusive parent in your head. And it does take a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do recovery work. It really does. Um, Kelly says it's hard to ignore the lies they are spreading because it is ruining relationships in the family, and it's not fair because they come out looking good and we're the bad guys. Well, um, that's just been my experience that uh, if you get triggered by a narcissist campaign and then you try to counteract it, you sort of get dragged down in the mud with them. Uh, People who are your friends, they'll just come ask you, "Hey, this is what I heard. Is such and such true?" And then you can say, "Yeah, no, that's not true, and I didn't do that." But I'm just saying, uh, you can't control what people say, and we don't have to allow that to take away our serenity. It's like if you know who you are, you can have peace with that. Ruth Ann says, "Hi, it's my third time here." Uh, oh, darn it, my cursor's in the way. Get that out of the way. It's my third time here. Is that where self love comes in? Um, she must have been asking a question about something sooner. So I don't understand your question, Ruth, and where self love comes in. So let me know what you mean about that. I do have the rubber chicken available. I haven't pulled out the rubber chicken lately. Uh, there's my wife. She says hi, everybody. Hi, honey. How's it back in Indiana? Um, Jackie says she's listened to Jerry Wise talk about reactive people and found it very informative. Yep. So, oh, okay. Ruth Ann says about purpose. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Um, that's Andy's question about purpose. Um, yeah, you could say that as you develop your sense of self and you become strong in your sense of self, that really is self love, and that will give you the courage and the strength to be you and not be bullied, not be intimidated, not be abused. Um, so, yeah, thanks for clarifying. So, honey, you're getting all kinds of highs from everybody. Um, yeah, it feels really. It doesn't feel like home here without my sweetie here. I miss her. Carrie O says hi, everybody. Um, Soren says, Mark, how do you have the courage to be so public? Are you so indifferent to criticism, or does it get you down? How do you cope? Um, well, uh, there was one source of massive criticism that I didn't really want to be that public, but it honestly it didn't really bother me. It's just if you know who you are, if you know what your character is, then most people, if they interact with you, they're going to see who you are. So um, I don't really think that I've had a lot of courage to be public. It's been really therapeutic for me to talk about my story. So uh, it's about having a strong sense of self. And if I get a vicious comment, I don't let it in. I am open to critiquing and to positive feedback because I certainly have blind spots, and I'm always open to feedback. So I like how everybody is given Jay Bassett some encouragement and feedback. That's very sweet. Um, I don't watch Bloodline, Carrie. Should I? Is that a good show? Sarah says she wished she woke up at 27 instead of at 53. Wouldn't that be something to be able to go back in time with everything that you know now and how life would be so different? But we learn as we go. Soren says, I see people like you and Bradshaw just letting it all hang out. I want to be like that someday. It's cool. Well, thank you, Soren. Um, I just figure I've got nothing to be ashamed of. You know, you got nothing to be ashamed of, and you can talk about your stuff and own it, and good, the bad, the ugly, and it's freeing. It really is. So this bloodline, Carrie says, is about four adult children and their parents, and lots of dynamics. That sounds pretty cool. Might check that out. Yeah. No, I was thinking about that. That man, I know so much now about what life is like and what people are like, and man, you'd be at such an advantage to be that young and to know all those things. But unfortunately, you sort of have to go through. You learn the hard way. You learn the hard way. Soren says, quoting Carl Jung, every light casts its shadow. I like that. Uh, Jackie, I didn't see your question about confronting the golden child. Sorry, I missed that. What about confronting the golden child? Uh, Diana says she woke up at 55 and kind of had to lose it before she gained perspective. I didn't really wake up at age, I guess it was age 55. Yeah, age 55. I didn't wake up, I got blown up. And it led to being woken up. At first, it was getting blown up. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Kate Nadine says, God sent you and Renda to us. Oh, that's sweet. Um, yeah, that for me, it was getting just blown up into a billion pieces. And it was so horrifically hard. I still can't believe how hard it was. Okay, Jackie. What happens when you confront them and tell them they are the golden child and they are really angry? How should you handle that? Is this like a sibling, uh, or who are we talking about here, Jackie? With my siblings, I don't really confront them because nobody would listen to me. There's this verse in the Bible. It says, uh, Jesus actually said, a prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown. And, you know, even Jesus in his hometown, they're like, who are you? You're just the kid of the carpenter down the street. You're, you can't be anybody. So, um, I don't know. Um, you'll have to tell me more, Jackie, about your question. Um, uh, with my kids, my son was probably the golden child, and um, uh, I think that for a lot of people, it's obvious who the golden child is, and they don't tend to necessarily get angry when it's pointed out. Oh, okay. Jackie says, my sister and one brother, I feel they are both the golden children. Out of six, two are favored. Okay, Jackie. It seems like that presses buttons in you, and part of being self-differentiated again is if you know who you are, and if you know that they were favored and you know you weren't, then you wouldn't have a lot of emotional investment in them hearing you. Okay. If they offered to ask for your advice, then you could give it to them. But uh, so I'm just saying, just the way you're describing it, it sounds a little bit like something gets hooked in you. And with our siblings, it's like uh, a lot of times we don't we don't have a lot of power to be heard. Uh, so Jackie says a nuclear reactor goes off. Well, then you need to. Uh, Jackie says I was a nasty little girl and screamed at her. So yeah, we need to de-escalate whatever is causing the nuclear reaction. So being favored, Carrie says, is not always beneficial. Later in life, they feel entitled. That's true. My wife is giving feedback, and actually has a video when being the golden child isn't so golden. Lori, hi. How do I stop the pain of losing my narcissistic mother? Lori, you'll have to tell me more. Are you losing her to death or to no contact? Um, Tell me how you're losing your narcissistic mother. Oh, she moved across the country. Okay. So she moved across the country, and you don't see her nearly as much. Is she cutting off from you? Um, what do you miss? What do you miss with your narcissistic mother moving across the country? So Jay Bassett wants to talk about sex now. Uh, my husband has a healthy sex life, but I don't. For so many years, I've been made fun of, and he says it's my fault why I'm so embarrassed for no reason. Okay. He had a healthy sex life with his affairs. Is that what you're saying? So Lori, she moved across the country to punish you. Um, so do you feel punished? Do you feel harmed by her moving across the country? Uh, my wife is telling lies. Uh, you're watching that wonderful guy now. What is it? What did she say? I'm married to one of the most wonderful guys on the planet. Yeah, right. I didn't know about all that. Uh, Kate Nadine says, always forgive for you, but never keep allowing them to hover. Stay no contact. Um, Agnes, what's your opinion on ABA? I don't know what ABA means. So tell me about ABA. I really honestly don't know what ABA means. I know that the Pacers in Indianapolis used to play in the American Basketball Association. That was called the ABA, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. Back to Lori. She made sure she left on a bad note. Yes, she's giving me the silent treatment. Um, so, um, so that it gives you a chance, Lori, to individuate and to become a source for yourself. Uh, and she says, but I love my mother and I cry a lot. Well, um, there's nothing wrong with crying a lot. Um, uh, the uh, it's healthy. It's healthy to grieve, and when you're dealing with a narcissist, you might very well be traumatized. And when you're traumatized, um, you know, it'll cause you to cry. So, um, uh, so Lori says it makes me feel alone and abandoned. Well, you were abandoned, but uh, how we're made is we're made to heal by crying. So cry and cry and cry and let go. So we're living in this condo in Indianapolis, and so we don't have like a fenced in backyard, and we're just getting in this rhythm with our pups to where we can read them, where they come and stand by the door and wag their tails, and they're like, all right, somebody has to walk me now. Whereas it was easy, it's easier at the other house where you just open the door and they go do their thing, and you don't have to get cold. Oh, Zara started talking. Woof, woof, let me out. Crying is good. Crying is wonderful. You're welcome, Lori. But uh, in the Bible, it says, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. And it's what it's describing there. It's describing psychologically leaving. And even if you don't go off and get married, it's still a healthy process to where we are able to individuate from our family of origin. So you're most welcome, Lori. Um, Kelly says, I think I was traumatized by a man when I was little, and that's why I feel intimidated by certain men. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Soren says that abandonment is the inner child. Look up Bradshaw's Homecoming book on YouTube and do the modules with Bradshaw. It will help heal the inner child that feels abandoned. That's good advice. I think I need some more back support. Let me locate some more back support here. Okay. Ah, better. Better. Jackie's listening to Tim Janis on YouTube. He has healing music. Cool. So Lori says it's a crushing wound when your own mother does that. Just because somebody has the title of mother doesn't mean they're truly a mother in the loving sense of the word. My mother was sort of a fraud, and she was never really my mother in a connection sense, and that's why I had to uh, go out and pick somebody who was a fake fiance, and that is so painful. But Sharon says, "Can you define trauma?" Well, um, let me see if I can define trauma off the top of my head. Uh, anything that causes PTSD. Uh, it can be different things for different people. But emotional damage, um, uh, emotional wounding, it can, happen from things bad happening to you physically, like being attacked. It can happen by being abandoned. Um, I'm not giving a very good definition of trauma. Can you guys help me? How would you guys define trauma? Y'all are smart. Soren says, for the men listening, Iron John by Robert Bly also was crucial in my healing process. Yes, Iron John is good stuff. Carrie says, um, good point, Mark, on that point about a mother. Difficult to understand why a mother would behave that way. Emotional, spiritual, or physical abuse is how Deb would describe trauma. Lori says, an unusual blow to the emotions. I like that. Trauma, something on whatever area of life that causes stickiness that holds us back. Interesting. It causes stickiness that holds us back. Okay. Uh, Soren says if it's 3 months, it's PTSD. If it's past 3 months, it's complex PTSD. So basically, all of us have complex PTSD because our stuff lasts a whole lot longer than 3 months, huh? Jill says trauma, deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Mental torture, for sure. Well, that was sort of cool with me asking you guys' definition. Agnes said it's usually after some time when you know your life has been derailed dangerously. Like a sticky mind. So true, Soren says. Kelly asks, can trauma to one person not be trauma to another? I think that's true. There are things that might traumatize one person but not traumatize another person. Man, I'm just going to start asking for you guys to define things. Mental torture. Mental torture. Ellie says an energetic pain that needs real healing and nothing fake. Jackie says trauma is like having your mind stretched like like it's elastic. It comes from the feeling of helplessness. It actually changes the chemistry of the brain. It's awful. U.S. Mel says we learn love and compassion from our abuse. Lori says, I want it to improve. The trauma. I'm passing people up here. Lori says, I don't want my brain to change. Jay Bassett, how is it abnormal to feel disrespected if your spouse likes pornography? How is it abnormal to feel disrespected if your spouse likes pornography? No, I think it's normal to feel disrespected if they're looking at pornography and not, having a healthy relationship with you. I'm not saying that it's abnormal to feel disrespected if your spouse. I'm just saying a better question is if you felt disrespected for 10 years, what has kept you in the relationship? And why did you pick that guy? And just review some of my videos on the concept that there's actually a playlist about uprooting victim mentality. Kelly says trauma can be so hurtful that you want to crawl in yourself and not come out. Boy, isn't that the truth? Oh man. Diana, a weird thought for me. My house burned down, and that didn't traumatize me as much as my family abusing me. Diana, my nephew's house burned down, and it traumatized him, and it traumatized all of us in the family. That was just sort of a horrific thing, a house burning down. So you weren't traumatized by your house burning down. That's hardcore. Jackie says porn is disrespectful to women and men, and it's trash, and it's there to make money. Ellie says trauma is pain on any level of any type that has an unlimited unlimited array of destructive effects and consequences for many things. Trauma is pain on any level or of any type that has an unlimited array of destructive effects and consequences. Kelly says, how does trauma change your brain chemistry? I don't know the answer to that. In fancy brain technology words. I have a one of my staff members, Steve Cooper. He could tell you. Addiction changes brain chemistry. Um, where Patrick Carnes, the author of the famous books about sexual addiction, when he admits a man to his treatment centers, they do brain scans and they notice that the brain is all lit up. You know, just when they do a brain scan, if there's lots of activity, it's like orange and red. And then after treatment, 90 days later, the brain is calmer and less lit up. So I can't imagine what trauma does to the brain. I can tell you what it did to my brain, and it just ranged from my brain being fuzzy to my brain never shutting down to cognitive dissonance. Uh, uh, it's a horrible thing. Soren says that's why PTSD is like having a tiger in the room. You're always scared and stressed. Hey, I always travel. Oh shoot, I spilled. I always travel with my little plastic tiger. I think I had it on the show last week from Indianapolis, and I was going to get it, but I had a spill. So let me clean up my spill, and I will show. I just want to grab my little tiger. This little plastic tiger just brings. I don't know. This brings encouragement to me, and you may think that's silly for a grown man. One night, Renda and I were at Outback Steakhouse, and we were having a bit of a fight, and she sort of left abruptly, and I left abrupt. I left my tiger at Outback Steakhouse, and so I called them and I said, my little boy left his favorite toy, and I'd like to come pick it up. And they had it, and I went and got it. So PTSD is like there's a tiger in the room, and that's why it's so scary. So, what else you guys got? Yeah, your mind can get really cloudy. Jackie says, I still have my little kitty doll from when I was little, so you're not alone. Yeah. So, I did go back for my tiger. I would be heartbroken and lost if I didn't have this tiger. And I was so thrilled that they still had it. Uh, uh, my wife has this little bear and little teddy bear, and she still has her little teddy bear. Oh, Lori says we're all just big kids. Soren says disassociation sucks. Dan, I guess I did abandon my tiger, and I left it all alone at Outback, but I did get him back. So, so Soren, what do you mean by dissociation sucks? Tell me about that. Diana says freeze, flight, fight, and fawn. Trauma to a person over and over gets the body to react in ways to keep safe. Too much trauma leaves the body still reacting long after the trauma occurred. Yeah, that sounds like Pete Walker's stuff from his book on complex PTSD. Um, my trauma happened, of course, as an infant, but then I was shattered on April 26th of 2015, and gee, we're coming up on a 3-year anniversary here. Can you believe that? Um, but even though it's been almost 3 years, um, I still feel my body being damaged, and sometimes my hands still, shake a bit. But thank God you do get better, and you can have a happily ever after. So Soren says it's like a cloud in your mind. Before treatment, I would not have experiences where I had the viewpoint of a camera over my shoulder. It was like a movie. I wasn't in my body. Really scary. Okay, I hear you. Yeah, yeah. Jackie asked me, do you think the symptoms of abuse ever leave? Well, um, in my case with the fiance, I don't think I really suffered from abuse. Um, I suffered from uh, engaging her to reenact the role of my mother so that I could re experience the trauma from my infancy. Um, so, uh, do I think, let me reframe your question. Those of us who have complex PTSD, do you think all the symptoms go away? Um, I just know that they get a lot better, and I don't know if they go away completely. I just know that um, they get a lot better, and um, I think that uh, our 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 much of our pain is rooted in our childhood, and that kind of wounding, I don't think ever really gets fully healed, you know. But I think the PTSD stuff, I'm still working on that. Jackie says she still jumps when somebody comes too close. I do too. I do too. My wife sneaks up on me sometimes. That I'll be in the house and she just sneaks up on me like the Holy Ghost and tries to give me a heart attack. If I expire one of these days, it's because she snuck up on me like the Holy Ghost. JC, what would childhood uh, correlation indicate? He is right or I am. He is neglectful but wants me to ignore the past. When in gridlock, he blames me. Um, Soren says, I have to hold the hand of my inner child and reassure him that I won't abandon him. That's beautiful. That's really, really, really good work. Really good work. So, Guy sneaks up on you like the Holy Ghost and tries to give you a heart attack too? Oh. So Soren's talking about his inner child, and he says he has the right to cry, and I have the duty to stay with him, my inner child. Yeah, I know the Holy Ghost is loving. I'm just using that as a, a metaphor of being a ghost. I'm not putting down the Holy Ghost. Yeah, yeah. She'll just appear, and I'll just scream and shriek. Um, so she says, Renda says, I am loving. Yeah, the Holy Ghost is invisible and all of a sudden appears, and that's scary. Kelly says, Soren, that she loves how he stays, that we should all stay with our inner child because we deserve that. And Lori's done some inner child work as well. Don't abandon our little selves. That's where we should check in, right? Exactly, exactly, exactly. So much of the time on channels like this, we're so focused on the narcissist, and we really want to focus on our abandoned, wounded little selves, and on healing our abandoned, wounded little selves. U.S. Mel wants to get a wrench by her name. I think she's the like administrator. What is your role, Jackie? You have some kind of power on this channel with your wrench. You have to be a tool. That's funny. Jackie brings a lot of humor to our show. So I'm running out of words. Moderator, Mrs. Fix It. The secret. Okay, somebody has a question here. Let me get to it. I want I just want to know the secret to compromise. I don't You'd have to tell me more about what you're asking there. Diana, they are saying that empathy heals trauma in young children. It's just unfortunately that our parents were not able to empathize with us. Yes, I would say that is true. Empathy goes a long, long way. Lori says, I love to find toys I played with as a child, and sometimes I even order them online. It helps to soothe me. I think that's wonderful. Um, I think that's wonderful. Sarah says her middle name used to be compromised as a codependent. Um, Kelly says, I think one of our hosts accidentally did something to Jackie's name and made her an admin of this channel. So be nice because she can block people. Be nice to Jackie. Uh, Now my wife has the wrench. How did she get the wrench? I don't have a wrench. I don't really need to be in control. Do I have a wrench? I don't think so. So yeah, I sometimes run out of words, and I'm finding myself running out of words. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I need to go eat. I'm hungry. I need to do some stuff. Oh, my wife made herself a moderator. Cool. Cool. Okay, so JC, let me back up. You guys are hitting us with a bunch of. So, JC, compromise secret in our relationships when we gridlock, balance of power so no one is overrun. Compromise secret in our relationships. Um, I don't know if there's a secret to compromise. I think it's sort of the fruit of healthiness and emotional healing and recovery work that you have the capacity to compromise. People who aren't healthy are very black and white, and they don't know how to compromise. It has to be their way or the highway. Did Soren say goodnight? I'm going to eat too and then head to bed. Good night, Soren. You bring a lot to the show. We appreciate you. I'm trying the ketogeno diet. Just 2 words for everybody. I'm hungry. Oh, excuse me. See, I'm getting tired. Ellie says, thanks, Mark, for being here with Renda, Jackie, and all the healers. All you guys are healers. You really are. You help to heal yourself. And when you learn how to heal yourself, then you gain some experience about how to heal others as well. So, Jackie, you said movies, Mark? What do you mean movies? Movies. Kelly says, thanks for the good show and the conversation. JC says, thanks everybody for their kind words. Now I need to know what Jackie means by movies. Before we go. Have you seen any good ones lately? Oh, okay. You know what? I wanted to see the Star Wars movie, and I haven't had a chance to because we've just been so busy, and so I haven't really been to the movies lately. So usually when a movie impacts me, there's a video. So my wife is Sharon, and she says she will not be able to attend next week. She'll be at on-site in the Living Centered Workshop. My wife gets to go to on-site. That's next week. If you guys haven't been to on-site, we really recommend it. And my wife will come back all healed and healthy and be able to tell a lot of stories about all the things that she learned. So, well, listen, I'm gonna check out here. Diana, I hope you can able to make that happen. It's such a special place on site. It really helped me so much. It really was one of the many things that saved my life. I thought it was the week after next, honey. It didn't seem like next week. So maybe, honey, maybe you should do the show next week. I don't know. I don't know what our plan is. I don't know. No, you're going to be hanging out with your sister next week. You can't do it next week. The 19th, right? So it's me again next week. As my wife is, she's redecorating the condo with her sister, but without me. If that tells you about her uh, estimation of my decorating skills. Dinner time, here we go. Good night, everybody. Hope everybody has a great week. Thanks for the hope for my daughter getting better. And thanks for lighting a candle for my daughter. So, God bless you all. Um, uh, Good show, good community. And I will talk with y'all next week. Take care.